everyone. The time is now 6 p.m. and the Spring Lake Board of Commissioners work session is now called to order. I would like to invite Ms. Edelman to the podium to lead us in our invocation and pledge of allegiance. Please stand if you'd like to join us.
Good evening. Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we come to you, Lord God, once more again to give you praise, honor, and thanks. We thank you for this great town of Spring Lake. As we come tonight to conduct town business, I pray that we be on one accord. I pray for our first responders, our community, and I pray that we always do the things that you would have us to do, not ourselves. In Jesus Christ's name I do pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. All righty. I do ask that you turn off any cell phones and keep these sidebar conversations to the minimum. I love that our police force is in here in numbers, so thank you guys for coming out. We appreciate you and all the work that you do. So we will now move on to any additions or deletions to the agenda. Being none, we'll move on to an approval of the agenda. Mayor Pro Tem?
So moved.
Alderman Passios.
Second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. We'll now move on to the approval of the consent items. I'll entertain a motion to approve the draft minutes of the May 13th, 2024 work session, the draft minutes of the May 29th, 2024 special meeting, and yay, endorsement of the Town of Spring Lake's budget ordinance fiscal year 2024-2025. Alderman Lackner. So, excuse me, Commissioner, thank you. Commissioner Lackner.
So,
Is there a second? Commissioner Thompson.
I second.
Any discussion? All in, is that discussion? Okay. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, I just wanted to ask the manager if the updates and corrections were they accepted by the LGC, or were there any changes?
There were no changes. They were completely accepted and voted to approve with only one abstention.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
And that is a resounding unanimous decision. We'll move on to our public comments. I'd like to invite Mr. Greg Spears to the podium. Please state your name and address for the record, and this topic of discussion is commercial development.
okay, thank you so much for having me. My name's Greg Spears. I'm with Grant Murray Commercial Real Estate. I live at 434 Lansdowne Road, off of Cliffdale. I own a piece of property at 2428 Lillington Highway that I bought about 7 years ago, and I'm looking to add another 4 acres for a total of 5.5 acres at the intersection of Manchester across the street and Lillington Highway. So my partner and I recently acquired the house that you see there now, and we're getting ready to be under contract with Ms. Catherine Lewis on the 1.6 acres to the north side, and then I'm working with David Darden on his acres. So total will be 5.5 acres. I've already met with Carly and
Lynn?
Lynn about I'll need to get rezoning and annexation, so I'll be coming before y'all for that. But the future plans would be to do a nice high-end strip center. So at that intersection, I've already talked to DOT about tying into the stoplight when it's required. We have city water there, but no sewer. So I'm looking into the closest possible way to bring sewer. But anyway, all that will be down the road as far as that research. But also, I would love to work with Spring Lake and Grant Murray. We're the largest commercial real estate company in Fayetteville. We did about 87 million last year. Our competitor, closest competitor, did about 35, so we're almost 3 times. But there's 10, 12 of us that are brokers, as well as the principals, Neil Grant, Patrick Murray. But we would love to work with the city, town of Spring Lake to bring more commercial development. I'm talking to some of the property owners along the corridor there of Littleton Highway, the Lewises, who own quite a bit up there at Ray Road. That intersection, I think, is very valuable. So anyway, I just wanted to introduce myself and attend your meetings and get to know each one of you. Down the road, I'll be making a formal request for the rezoning and annexation.
Well, thank you so much. This makes me very excited, and we look forward to see what's coming. Economic development and commercial development is definitely what we need here. Our citizens are asking for more, and they don't want to go outside of our beautiful community for resources that we should have here. So continue to press on, looking at other areas outside of the ones that you already
Yes,
have.
oh, yeah.
We want to see some
We've
growth.
already done quite a bit, going up 87, you know,
Awesome.
in that area, but I think Littleton Highway is now a little gym between Ray Road and Split.
That's why you guys are the experts. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we will now move on to our presentation of the evening, and of course, this is our work session, and we try to limit presentations, but this one is absolutely necessary, and it is an exciting presentation, so we look forward to hearing from Ms. Deanna Rosales, our Stormwater and Sustainability Administrator.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Deanna.
So, forgive me, I get nervous when I speak in front of groups, but I can talk forever in front of one-on-one. So, beginning of this year, the county was putting together a grant for building resilience in communities. And they wanted us to participate with them. So they paid for all the studies, they started everything over on Wapiti, and then for some reason, they decided not to apply for it. I was able to talk to the engineer, and he allowed me to use his work to apply for the gold report, which is great because I only had 2 weeks to turn it in. So I asked for $900,000, and that was to replace the entire system between 408 Wapiti all the way down to the outfall that's out past 434 Wapiti. We got $750,000. That is still within the estimated budget from the engineer's assessment, so we should be able to bring that in pretty well. Part of the application was for Goodyear, but they said that it did not qualify because not enough people were affected by it. And, yeah, two residents versus 14. I am hoping to still be able to use some of that to work on Goodyear. Regardless, it will be addressed this year. Somehow, somebody, it will be addressed. If I have to get out there and get myself, it will be addressed. So, that's the first page. This shows you the area that we're going to be working on. It's going to be we're looking north, it's going to be the west side of the street. They're going to be digging up the entire pike. All the yards, all the driveways are going to be affected. We are going to try our best to minimize the negative effects, try to keep the road open as much as possible, but it is going to be dicey for a little while. Construction should be done by the end of September of next year. No, sorry, June of next year. We can ask for extensions if we need to. The way the grant is set up, we can ask for 20% advance on the money to start the process going. And then we can continue asking for 20% up until we've got 80, and then that last 20% gets paid after the project is over. And as many people know, that water got deep. I was getting phone calls from the police and fire all the time about it. And we did remove a large root ball in one section last year, and that helped alleviate a lot of the worst flooding, but it still backs up. Sorry. And this is some of the flooding and the debris lines, and a little hole with the flags around it, that is at 426. So almost all the way down the end of the block now. There are sinkholes like that in nearly every yard between 408 and 434. Because when the pipes were put in, they were too small for one, and they were not properly sealed. So when they fill up, they create a suction, there goes the yard. And as you can see, it got pretty deep. So these are our next steps, making it short and sweet. We're asking the board to accept the resolution to approve the project and accept the money. That is due on June 22nd. No, that's the date. Sorry. Paperwork, the initial paperwork is due to them by July 22nd. So I started it today. Ms. Deborah Mack is going to take it to the LGC to get it approved from their end so we can accept the money. We will, there's an initial acceptance and agreement that's due July 21st. Budget lines, informational meetings. I've already started building a team to help administer this in conjunction with the finance people. And let's see. One of the most important things is once we get all this initial paperwork done, I'm going to be asking the residents to come up here and have a meeting with me and any other relevant people, get the construction easements, so that's all done at one time. They can ask questions, and all the questions their heart's desire. And Ms. Bloom, let me get into her driveways again. So, the RFP will be the final, pre-construction thing, and we'll have the, them give their bids, and we know how much we can spend. We just wanna know how much they're gonna charge us, so hopefully it'll be less than we have to spend. But that's it, so, I worked long and hard on this, for my hair turned gray. And I would really appreciate if we would, get the resolution passed so that I can start on this and alleviate that terrible developments mistake.
Absolutely.
So, thank you.
Thank you, Deanna. I, for one, am super excited. I've had people come directly to my house on multiple occasions once it rains. So this is a huge deal. We have people over there whose yards have been completely wiped out, where there's just dirt. So,
We're not gonna go.
this is going to be a big improvement, a much needed improvement. And again, I'm so grateful that you are making sure that we're not just focusing on Wapiti. And again, this isn't preferential treatment because I live on Wapiti. This is because Wapiti has the worst problem. 14 people are affected, 14 homes are affected by this issue. So this is a huge step in the right direction for fixing issues like this all across the town. So kudos to you and all the work that you put in. And I know how much this is, how passionate you are about the work that you do and how much pride you take in the work that you do. So I'm going to make a couple of stops when I get home too and say, hey, guess what? If we pass this resolution tonight, I'll make sure I let you know.
I'll be knocking on Ms. Blue's door tomorrow morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, followed by Commissioner Lackman.
Thank you.
Sorry.
So first of all, thank you so much for all the hard work you've done on this. I've actually seen the flooding. I have family who live in that neighborhood, so I do appreciate that. But my question is, you mentioned the construction and the developer. Do you know, or does anybody know if we are ensuring that as we continue to develop that we are putting in pipes that are big enough, and how do we assure our residents that that's happening?
The engineering firm sized the pipes to allow the 25-inch storm. comes through, again, it's gonna flood. But these afternoon storms, the pop-ups, the heavy rains we get every now and then, those will not be flooding those homes anymore. So we're going to go from if I remember correctly, it's an 18-inch pipe, we're gonna be going up to 24 to 36. So almost double.
Right, but I was saying, new housing that we build. I know you may not have that answer, but.
I do.
Oh,
So-
okay.
So under the stormwater permits from the state, they are required to meet certain standards based on the size of the lot, how much is built upon area, and they have to give me the calculations when I sign the permit. If those calculations do not match what they're supposed to, I don't accept it. So that's the main thing we do is, that's what our permit does, is it allows us to control what goes into the ground to control our stormwater. And if they don't do it right, they get nasty grants next year to fix it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Arnold?
Thank you, Mayor. That was my question there, was in here where you said in addition to taking out the old 18-inch pipes that weren't large enough, and my question was what size is going in, and you answered that at the 24-inch.
24 to 36, depending on where it is on the line.
That'd be good for our residents, that would be there, give them some peace of mind, and stormwater drainage for the next 25 to 50 years.
Hopefully longer.
Hopefully longer.
And they will be put in correctly, sealed, so that they don't suck out people's yards.
Commissioner Garcia?
Thank you, Mayor. So, congratulations again, and thanks for doing that, Deanna. To come out swinging after it was denied by, I guess, the county.
Oh, they didn't put it in.
They didn't put it in. So, anyway, so great job on a 2-week turnaround to get this in and approved, and great job collaborating to make it happen too. So that means a lot. And thank you for addressing the Goodyear Drive.
Yeah, that will be done.
Awesome, thank you so much. You did very well presenting in front of people. All right, so I will now move on and entertain a motion to approve resolution 2024-09, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Town of Spring Lake, North Carolina, accepting the Golden Lake Spring Lake Flash Flood Mitigation Grant. I don't know who was first, so Mayor Pro Tem.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Got your money, Deanna, let's go.
If anybody wants to see what I got so far.
The residents on Wapiti are going to be ecstatic. Awesome. All right, so we will keep moving. This meeting is going to be short and sweet, because the 2 items that we have on next are for informational purposes only. If you do have any questions, feel free to ask, but agenda item 8B, the discussion regarding the Montgomery County Community Development Block Grant. Carly sent out some information regarding what we've done before, what the block grant is for. But again, I wanted you guys to have this information in advance. However, there will be a presentation by Devin Newton at our upcoming meeting. That way we can ask her any questions, but I wanted to make sure the board had an opportunity to discuss amongst themselves if there was anything that you had in regards to, or being part of the community development block grant. Mayor Pro Tem?
So, I'm trying to remember, I remember during COVID, we were not able to get our own money because we were not an entitlement community. Am I saying that right there? Yeah, because Fayetteville took a big chunk of this money because they're now an entitlement community. So, my question, Mr. Rory, would be, is it still in our best interest to stay under this group of money, or would we be better off making it, standing on our own and going after our own monies?
you asking, would we be better off creating a planning department?
Not a planning department. We would need to have a planning department to do this.
No, I mean, that's the gist of what I'm coming from, is that, you know, how do you, what's the mechanism for you to request your own money? And usually it's through the joint planning, and so that would be the concern. CDBG and block grants are usually from the feds, and so they used to be, they've been combined to do that, and so I don't know the answer to whether or not you should do that, but I do think that, it's probably not the quickest and easiest thing to do right now would be to take and develop the planning department. You need to go forward and just keep what you're doing. But I can find out.
Right. I mean, and the reason I ask that is because,
I even vaguely remember the entitlement community stuff too. We weren't part of the entitlement community.
right, and, the reason I ask is because, as a town, we don't really get much of these funds.
Right.
The last presentation I saw, everything they were showing was from many, many years ago.
2016, 2015.
Yeah, like the library, so that was why I was asking that question, because, and the pie is a lot smaller now too, so. I don't know, are you asking us to vote on this tonight or not?
No,
Okay.
no, this is informational, there's no vote required, at the moment. Again, I got this information, got it put on the agenda for your information, and then Devin reached out and said, hey, we wanna come in and do a formal presentation about what the updates are to the HUD program, how this is gonna affect the town, and then we can decide about moving forward with staying, with, or using this program in Spring Lake. But they have done some work. I think if we work directly with them again, that we can see some more fruitful things happen. What they did, it was all kind of clumped in the same time frame. You've seen the Kingdom development come through, they did upgrades on the library, the resource center, those things. There was kind of in the same time frame, and then we had a huge gap of nothing. And so I'm gonna take responsibility on the town for us not pressing that too. Being more aggressive with going after these funds and bringing these resources back to us. So let's give them an opportunity to show us they can do more, that they're interested in doing more, and possibly make the decision from there.
Is,
Commissioner Palacios, I like saying commissioner, I'm trying to get used to it. Oh, you're still going?
Does it, yeah, the question was, wasn't it now down to a little under $2 million for all other cities in the, for Linden, no, Linden is an entitlement period. So I think it was under $2 million left for every municipality in the county other than Fayetteville and Linden. Yeah, I think it's like only 1.4 million. Yeah.
So let's have these questions lined up for Devin. So put your thinking caps on, let's dig through this some more. Okay, and see how we can make this beneficial for our community. If there's money out there for us to get, let's get it. So, and if there's any discussion regarding that, Mr. Roy, did you have anything to add? Madam Clerk?
Oh, I thought Commissioner Palacios had a
No,
comment.
he waited.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Okay, next agenda item, pretty much the same concept. We know we are finally at the stages of getting our audits caught up. Myself and Carly had the opportunity to go to a training through the League for Financial Management, and they gave a beautiful presentation for the role of the board in regards to the audit. And so again, this is informational purposes. This was a part of that 6-hour session we did, what was it, maybe 2 months ago? And like I said, they did a presentation specifically for what we need to know when it comes to our audit. So I made sure I passed this information on. I wanted to open the floor up for any questions, again, regarding our audit, and make sure we know that, again, we haven't heard anything back from the LGC regarding our audit. We do know that the contract is signed, but that's as far as we've gotten. Have you guys heard anything back?
Just yesterday.
Oh, yay!
Okay,
Awesome,
Well,
okay.
actually, what, Friday.
Okay.
And I'll be glad to share that with now.
Yes, please.
All right, so, I have reached out to, the LGC and asked for an update in regards to our audit. As you guys know, the hardest thing to do is get someone to accept you to do an audit, because we have so much missing records and problems associated with 2021, different things. So,
Okay. Can you guys hear him okay?
we do have a signed contract with, Cherry Becker. And so when I reached out to LGC, in this case Kendra, she contacted and made a connection with me and the lady with Cherry Becker, who will be working directly with Cherry Becker to facilitate the completion of this audit. I have agreed to work with our outsourced contractors who's been digging through all the data to keep them on board. Our first priority is to get 22 done and try to parallel that with the same data information. Secondly to that, this whole audit process. So with the budget approval today, I should be able to onboard our new finance director.
Yes.
And so we'll have a finance director coming in who will actually be taking over the financial stuff. Our outsourced contractors will continue to work with the audit primarily as their focus, get it done. So that's the best I can do, is that now we will be working directly with them and not through the LGC.
Oh, wow.
The LGC is still there.
Right.
I'm not saying that we're just taking over, but we're actually working directly with the audit.
That's gonna streamline the process quite a
That's the
bit.
whole idea.
So awesome.
And so the LGC has been very supportive in terms of trying to streamline stuff. And I don't mean this in a bad way, but, you know, for 7-8 weeks, I've been fussing about this and that, and why are we doing this? They've been very receptive to kind of checking the dots, my eyes, and crosses the T's, and kind of letting some things flow.
Well, that's what they said they would do when we hire qualified staff, and so, that's good. It's good endorsement on Mr. Rory when they're releasing the reins and saying, okay, go ahead, so, thank you. I'm sure that's a nice, release like me too, but again, this is for information. I wanted to make sure that we highlighted the dates, because again, we've got to do this again next year. So we'll be going through this process again, so I want us to start studying and becoming aware of what our role is, so that, you know, by the time July hits next year, we're already prepping and ready. Was there any questions, information regarding our current audit, upcoming audit, anything at all? We got a smart board.
I do remember, I think Mr. Rory had estimated that it could take like 6 months for an audit to complete. Is that
Our contract calls for completion in December of 24.
December of 24 is the completion?
And that's for both audits or just 22? Okay. I know we talked about kind of trying to do them simultaneously.
You know, I'm trying to be very, very, let's see, under promising over the I don't want to get your hopes up. I wanna make sure that-
Don't argue about it until December.
Right.
I'm trying to-
Remember, set an alert for November's meeting. Commissioner Lackman.
So, Mr. Rory, just to be clear, that 1 year is for the 2022 audit to be completed by December of this year.
This year.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that we were clear for our residents out here.
This is a big deal. It's a big deal, right? Mayor Pro Tem?
I did remember. Mr. Rory, can you tell us, where we are with that sales tax appeal? Has there been any movement?
Nothing. I simply applied and appealed it, and I've heard no information, no follow-up. But just last week that I got it done.
Okay, thank you.
So, we had until July, but we got there in the work.
Good. Very good. Awesome. Well, if there's no further discussion, we will move on to our updates. Mine real quick. I have no updates for you except for, please join me for coffee with the mayor on the 26th, which is in 2 days at IHOP at noon. So,
Mayor, lunch with the mayor,
what I say?
coffee.
There's coffee at IHOP. Lunch with the mayor, and you can have coffee and pancakes. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
I did have a health information fair at, Saturday, and, I just wanted to publicly thank those that showed up. We had members from the health department there, and a few other, people there. So I did want to publicly thank all those that came and those who, did show up with and tabled. So, other than that, I don't have anything else right now. Commissioner Thompson? Commissioner Lappin?
Thank you, Mayor. Just to point out to the audience out here that we have our cleanup scheduled for July 6th. Much improvements done around town, so much better. Tomorrow night is the Military Veterans Affairs Advisory Committee meeting. It's at 6:30 right here in this room. We do have one vacancy, so if we have any military or active duty, retiree, or veteran that would like to serve on that, please see Carly to the application in regards to that. Mayor, I'd also like to highlight the aluminum can collection. We're coming up on 4th of July, and if all the sodas and alcohol cans that are consumed, if they were brought up and filled up that trailer, I know that Chief Williams would be happy because the funds that's generated from the aluminum cans goes to the Burn Children's Fund. And since we did have that large fire that happened within the apartments, I just felt compelled to at least ask the residents, your can collection, bring them up there to the collection right out in front of the fire department. That's what goes there. And I've got two names, and then we're going to look at inserting something else. In 2022, we had Charlie Miller. 2023, we had George Reed. And in 2024, we will be looking for the Veteran of the Year. And so we will be coming out with a application. So if you have somebody that is deserving to sit alongside Charlie Miller and George Reed, to have your name recognized with them as being the Veteran of the Year for Spring Lake. Applications will be coming out, filled out, and the Military Veterans Affairs Advisory Committee will be looking at those. And when November rolls around and we do the unveiling, that we will also nominate, we will announce the winner of that. That's what I got for you, Mayor. Thanks.
Such a beautiful idea. Commissioner Clausen?
So we're not announcing the Veteran of the Year until Veterans Day? Big surprise coming.
Yes.
The nomination then.
So on Veterans Day, we also, from the Appearance Committee, hope to unveil our Special Forces mural. And so tomorrow we're going to be with the Veterans, the Appearance Committee is going to be with the Veterans Committee to talk about that and allow some final feedback and a decision to be made on the final rendering of what that mural is going to look like. So it's going to be pretty exciting. That mural is going to be on the Stitch in Time building at the end of Main Street. So when you're leaving town, when you come to town, you'll be able to see that mural. And so we look forward to that. And we also have one vacancy on our Appearance Committee if anybody's interested. Thank you.
Commissioner Chapman? It's good to be back. And see you all. I don't have the updates, but I am ready to speak up and do this. If anybody has anything in the community, or know anything, or anybody that needs any help, please let me know. Mr. Roy?
Boy, do I have. I will keep it as short as possible, but we're going to talk a little bit about money, and I want to make sure that everybody from the Board of Commissioners, as well as our audience, everybody watching online, gets a little taste of what we're dealing with. So when I refer to talking about money, we just had an approval today of a roughly $15 million budget to include water infrastructure, stormwater infrastructure. There are a lot of changes in the fees. You guys are aware of that. Deanna talks about a $750,000 grant from the Golden Leaf Foundation. Also recognize that for us to actually accept that, we have to get the LGC to accept the new resolution. And so what's happening is that Deanna's working with finance to create what's known as a project ordinance that'll go in front of the LGC. That'll also establish some funding limits and things of that nature. That's very important to keep in mind because it's how you track and flow everything that's going on. So for a moment, I want someone to think about a grant for Veterans Park. All right? Is it finished? Is that part completed?
No.
So I spoke with Commissioner Lackman last week, and I told him the best project was a completed project. The best project is a completed project. So we've got to focus on completing these projects and the grant funding and get it done. So when you keep that little piece in mind, forgive me for not being able to cite, but it seems that park was 100-some thousand, for grant. And so, 114. I had a conversation with the county manager this morning about the adopted budget. We'll be following up in July, specifically as it relates to the Manchester Fire District. Keeping that rolling, where we're going, what's happening with that. I've spent most of the day and most of last week focused on our grants. So keep in mind that I'm going to just cite them. We got a $250,000 computer grant. We got a $300,000 or $400,000 for water infrastructure. It's confusing to me because when I look at the appropriations on that, I'll see a number here and then a number here, and they don't go. So I've called the Office of State, the budget office for the state, and trying to ask for some clarification on that. We also have a $500,000 for sewer infrastructure. So we've met in this room, we followed through on some improvements that happen or can happen with the wastewater treatment plant. So I'm seeking to hire a project manager who can see that process through from A to Z and get it done. That project is a completed project. And then finally, we have some carryover of what we refer to as the FEMA reimbursements, where Florence came through and there's damage to the wastewater treatment plant. Keep in mind that based on our initial analysis over this past week, I had an engineering firm look at the two and figure and just determine if there were any crossover. There are. That means there's things that the reimbursements could cover through FEMA that's also showing up on this $500,000 wastewater treatment plant, in both cases. So we need to figure out how to streamline that and actually make sure that we're spending those dollars wisely and investing in that infrastructure. So I share that from a 250, 300, 400, 500 in FEMA, Veterans Park, and the other was Lutzburg. Is that right? Lutzburg Park. To let you know that we've got a lot of irons in the fire, and our ability and our capacity is limited. So I need to take and have the stormwater golden leaf. Deanna can focus on that, but I can't have her focus on these 7 others.
Right.
Because then nothing gets done. Not a reflection on Deanna. It's just you get pulled in 8,000 different directions. So it's about prioritization on that and trying to put those pieces together and so that we can, the best project is a completed project, and that's hands down the best way for us to approach it for our community and our citizens. So we'll work through it. Now we can focus on the smaller component of the 250 grant, just so that you can wrap your thoughts around this. So we're talking a little bit about economic development. We've heard, I'm not going to point him out or name him, but complain a little bit about the permitting process recently. I see him out there, he's smiling. And so let me tell you what I want to try to approach with this technology or this computer grant. Keep in mind that, the ability for us to do a couple of things is limited by our equipment, our hardware, and our software. So an applicant cannot submit plans to us digitally that can be reviewed by everybody on this dais and signed off on without me passing a piece of paper down. So you take a roll of paper like this, and then you pass it, you pass it, you pass it. And next thing you know, it takes you 6 months of Sundays to pass it to get the final signature on there. So once we can put this in an online digital format, it can be shared by a software called Bluebeam, and you can actually make comments on that Adobe document. But in that case, then the developers will have to submit those electronic plans to us. Or when we get paper copies, we have to be able to scan it in there and then put it onto a shared drive so everybody can see it. So the goal is for us to enhance and engage our community through the use of this kind of technology grant. So what I'd like to do is get the formatters, the software, the hardware, update every computer in this place. It's ancient, by the way. I think I've got an Abacus too. But we've got a lot of computers that we need to do. So if you look at the price of just the computer, the desktops, that would allow you to interact with all of this in this kind of virtual, online type of environment, you're looking at a price point of about $2,300 per workstation. So if you got 100 employees, and we're not going to put 100 of them out there, but $230,000 or $250,000, clearly you can't do that. So you got to prioritize what you're trying to do. Another thing that I want to do is, so I reached out to some of my former folks that I worked with before and got some information about, imagine the day to where a screen comes down behind you and a screen comes down in front of you, and you can see this actually from the audience instead of trying to look on that television. So you asked if could they hear me? It's another piece about how you arrange every time I look right, if I'm looking away from the microphone, and every time you look left, this whole audio piece. So we're trying to look at how we can use this grant to enhance even the chambers. Not necessarily, at this point, just mostly technology, not necessarily we budgeted for the different things, the paint, the upgrades, but something to get us moving forward. So keep that in mind, that one grant, that technology grant, is really going to be about hardware and software and interfacing with our financial management system, interfacing with our audiovisual here at the council, in the commissioner chambers, to where now those who are watching online can participate and actually see and hear something. Right now we've got a camera over there pointing. So, in watching, you just see everything over here about this big.
Right.
And so if you had it here, you could do it, and it could be controlled right from this. That's the kind of stuff we're working on that grant. I'm taking a little personal attention on that one, on all of them, by the way. I've got to. But this one in particular, try to get it rolling, because we still have to submit documents, like tax documents, to the state budget office and management budget office, so that we're confirming the receipt of this, and how do we get the money, how do we move forward. So a lot of grant stuff. If you're doing the math on that, we just talked about $1.5 million worth of grants. Somebody's got to manage it. That means that somebody can't manage other things, so you got to pick and choose different things as priority. So I just wanted to share that as an update. And then on behalf of the town attorney who's not here, I'm going to give the town attorney update. I hope to utilize the town attorney in the upcoming fiscal year a lot more. So if he's out there listening, I hope he hears this very clearly, because we got to figure out how to do a comprehensive review of all of our ordinances. Specifically, maybe we won't get fined for profanity. And if we get fined for profanity, we're not violating someone's First Amendment rights. We're having to look at all of our ordinances, which, by the way, is a law. And so everybody up here takes an oath following the laws, yet we've got laws in the books that we just can't follow. So we got to go through that whole process over this year. And so for our attorney, he's going to have a lot of work to do. And so staff, and so will the policy committee. So a lot of things coming, I think, are good for the community, and we can work for it. With that, I will finish.
All righty. Madam Clerk, do you have anything for us?
No, ma'am.
Awesome. Well, with there being no further updates, this is probably the shortest meeting in history, but they've been working hard and we got the budget, y'all. So, meeting adjourned. Have a great evening. Thank you.